Welcome, child, to the Vale of Eternity, kindly provided by Renegade Game Studios and designed by Eric Hong. In this particular Vale of Eternity, you will be 2 to 4 people building up a tableau of mythical things, sometimes zapping other players with the abilities of your creatures, and just generally popping off sparky little card combos that are going to hopefully get you the points that are then going to win you the game. And you're going to play by collecting these magical creatures that you're going to buy using magical coins. Well, in my mind, you're buying them with coins, but according to the lore of the Vale of Eternity, aka the back of the box, we are tamers trying to capture cool creatures and noble and powerful dragons. And so surely the aim of the game is to collect this thing, the most noble and powerful dragon within anyone's peripheral vision. I mean, this is the dragon from the box, Miss Eternity herself. Surely we have to capture them? No, this actually doesn't do anything. And I mean nothing. It isn't even the first player marker, that's this thing. In the manual it just says that you are free to use this, and that, I quote, will add a nice touch to your photos. And as a semi-professional photographer, I do agree with this sentiment, even if the bride and groom subsequently didn't. Consider me lacquered in surprise then that a game with a literal pointless cardboard dragon ended up being the polar opposite of FLUFF. Right from round one, this game is crunchy, packed full of small but really meaningful decisions. Spicy decision number 1. Each round you can have twice as many creature cards as there are players, and you're going to go round reserving the cards that you want, placing a token onto a card. Maybe you're reserving the card that's perfect for you, or maybe you're just denying another player something that's just too perfectly powerful to be in their hands. But in most games where you buy a hat to stop another player from getting that hat, you end up with a hat that you don't really want. Not here. Each round you're all going to reserve 2 different creature cards, but then you get to choose if you're going to keep that card, take it into your hand, or if instead you're going to take the value in magical stone coins from that creature's area. And the quality of these cards is reflected by the amount of money you're going to get if you scrap them. Spicy red cards are only worth 3 if you chuck them in the bin rather than keeping them. But the purple dragones, oh, £6. You can ditch this magical dragon for 6 British magical pounds. That's business. So already I hope we can agree that that is spicy. You are drafting for what you want, but maybe you don't want the card, maybe you just want the money. Gives you much more wiggle room for being slightly mean to other people. Let's move on to spicy part number 2. Spicy. The next big choice in the Vale of Eternity is what cards are you going to play to the table. Both this basilisk and the lava giant cost 3 magical pounds. I have a total of 5 magic stones available. I'm going to spend 3 and get a lava giant. And okay, nothing about that seems too complicated, but oh, these magical coins are actually incredibly spicy for reasons that we'll come back to shortly. But before we get to the nitty-gritty of this magical stones money kitty, there is a restriction here that's quite harsh right off the bat. In the first round of the game, you're only allowed to have 1 creature played into your tableau. In the second round, 2, the third round, 3, etc., etc., up to a total of 10 rounds before the game comes down and ends on you like a gloopy stop sign. Some cards do let you remove creatures from your current collection so you can play another one and get the bonuses of that, but otherwise, once you've hit that cap for the current round, no more dragons for you, madam. You've had enough. This limitation gets the game off to a really peppy start because the first round can't be long. You've got basically nothing you can do. And it means that cards that in other games would be a bit boring, such as ones that just get you income at the start of each turn, in this feel amazing. It's the end of the round already? I get more? I love this horny salamander boy. All these tiny frequent decisions give the game a remarkable pace that keeps it constantly feeling alive. But it's the design of these cards that really makes the game pop. And this game pops like an overexcited tiny balloon. The powers on these cards are great. You've got 70 unique cards. And while the things that these cards do aren't wacky or thematic, all of the powers in this game perfectly crest that wave of feeling meaty and significant, even when the powers are way less powerful than the stuff you get later on. And it means that every turn where you're taking a card or playing a card feels excellent. Whether you're grabbing something really powerful that you're not going to be able to afford until way later in the game, that feels nice. Or sometimes just buying and playing a really cheap little sicko goblin. You got 5 different categories of beasties. Hot ones, cool green original flavor, water seaside aka original wet ones, pink, floofy, and purple dragons. Purple dragons. Not all dragons are purple, but obviously the best ones are. Out of the 5 different types of creature you can get, yeah, dragons are the best. It's a game where you obviously do have a hierarchy of cards, but it's also one where you feel like you can just viably ignore it all the time, and whatever direction you shoot off in, whatever path you find through the game, taking that path just feels really good. It's a game where you are building up these increasingly clever and satisfying engines, but the pace and limitations of those earlier turns gives the whole experience a real rolling start. It seems ridiculous to say this, but as soon as you start playing this game, you are playing the game. Which is something that's, I guess, in board games sometimes rarer than it should be. You aren't building up a space to create interesting decisions, you are having them straight away, constantly, throughout the whole of the game. And it all comes down to these cards. So let's take a detailed look. Let's take a little look at these cards. If you've played a game with cards that have things on the bottom of them, then a lot of this stuff will be pretty familiar already. An hourglass means it happens at the end of the round, the lightning symbol happens when you play a card to the table and pow, something goes off straight away, and the infinity loop means it's just an ongoing power. You've got infinite power now, son, so start acting like it. Me and your mum, Mrs. Eternity, are really disappointed. Those of you playing generic fancy card game bingo will have now noticed that they've ticked off quite a number of boxes. So what on earth makes this game feel fresh in a sea of stale? Firstly, albeit obviously, it does help a lot that these cards are all unique. It means that the selection of cards you're drafting from is always at least a bit interesting. You never have duplicate cards, so you never end up with a non-decision. But the main reason it works is that these cards are kept simple. You haven't got loads of symbols or abilities or keywords, and it means that the iconography can be crystal clear and the text can be minimal. I got a question for those of you who play games a lot, maybe with groups of people who don't play games as much. How many times have you been setting up a board game and then you've been laying it out and you've realized that you have to make a big shop of cards, and no matter how you do it, one player is going to have to look at those cards upside down, and because you're a good person, that person is you? Well, Vale of Eternity says no way to that. The cards here go in a mother-flubbing circle, which means that, hey, we're all living in upside-down hell together. Except here, it doesn't feel like upside-down hell. Here, it's mostly fine. First and foremost, that's because a lot of your interest in these cards is going to be based on what family of creatures they belong to, because the cards are so simple that they can really go to town on the iconography when it matters. If a card might affect a thing that you've got, then it will have that color and that symbol on it. That one has a symbol that matches pink cards, which I have of. So can I have a look at that card, please? Thank you. And I can see that that card over there has something to do with these blue triangle coins, so that's on my radar straight away. Let's have a look at that one. There's absolutely no way that Stephen's having that. No, I'm nicking that. Sorry, Susan. I'm so sorry. You're very wobbly. But I know what you're thinking. What's the big deal with these magical stones? You said there was something about them that was really spicy. Surely it's just 3 magical pounds. Why do we have to stop Stephen from getting 3 magical pounds? Well, I have saved the game's spiciest treat as a cherry to place atop this deliciously fun sundae. These are worth 1, these are worth 3, and these are worth 6. But you can only have a total of 4 of these stones at the same time. So I could have 3 1s and a 3 for a total of 6. Or I could just have 1 6 token and still have 3 more spaces free for other stones. Oh, that is just so much better. That's just so much better. The higher value stones are just straight up more valuable than the lower ones, except that whenever you spend these stones to buy cards that you then place in front of you, you never get change. No change. Which means if you want to buy a card that costs 4 and you only have a 6, then hey, that card cost you 6. And so because these magic stones are so specific and slightly irritating, it means that the rewards you get for trashing each of the different types of cards are actually a lot more different than they look. This restriction of just 4 stones is wonderfully mean and crunchy. On the flip side, these purple 6s feel amazing. You see this? That's purple 6. I'm rich now. Ask me to buy you a car. Ask me to buy you a car. I'm not gonna buy you a car. No. Also, I think I'm gonna stop paying my taxes. And the vibrant, punchy sauce that ties this whole lovely, noodly game together is the way that the cards you play interact with these tokens. Maybe you build up a tableau that turns the little red coins into bigger coins, into other coins, into points. At the end of the round, when you're going through all of your creature powers, you can do it all simultaneously and you activate your cards in any order that you like. But even with that flexibility, this hard limit of just 4 tokens creates a really satisfying, crunchy little puzzle that kind of reminded me in some ways a little bit of Furnace. That game was way tougher and trickier to teach, but there's that same feeling of optimization and avoiding missed opportunities, or even worse, waste. If I am completely honest, I do feel that this game lacks that mystery special sauce that elevates a game from being really very good up to, gosh, this is amazing. But that's not enough to stop me from recommending this game. This is an incredibly smartly designed game with some neat, sharp graphic design that elevates it substantially. It is quick, it is punchy, it is immediately fun. It might not blow anyone away, but pretty much everyone just likes it, and for good reason. If you're looking for something similar, then a few years back, folks went wild for Res Arcana, which we didn't make a video about, but it has a bunch of overlap with this game, and it's good. It's more complicated and less forgiving than this is, but that might be exactly what you want. Meanwhile, if you're looking for a card game with mythical creatures that all have powers that feel cool, it's still Ethnos. It's a terrible name. It's a terrible name for a fantastic game. They did re-release it actually a little while ago, but with humans. And I mean, if you're taking mermaids out, why are you taking mermaids out of a game? Why would you do that? Finally, if you want some slightly twee magical things and some pointed competition when locking down creatures, I really loved Equinox. Check it out. It's nice. And if you've enjoyed this video and you didn't realize it, we are incredibly heavily supported by community support, people who click on links below and chuck us a bit of cash in order to allow us to continue making reviews of board games without having to be sponsored directly by publishers and getting into all that stuff that's kind of mucky and complicated. We really appreciate it, but mostly just thanks for watching. And if you can't afford to, instead what you can do is print out these cardboard standees of me and just include them in all of your photographs for the foreseeable future. That's it, that's all we've got. Thank you, I love you, goodbye.